All right, what's happening, good people? Today we're going to be making an apple slaw. Apple slaw is something that I've had in my stable of staple ingredients for probably about a good 4 or 5 years. I want to start selling it at farmers markets this year, but right now I'm going to walk you through the process of what we do to make it. At the beginning of the year in January, a lot of people tend to want to eat a little healthier. This year I'm going to be one of those people because I have a bunch of recipes that I like to try that I don't always necessarily eat, but I've been working on this past year, so I want to implement them come 2022. Now, the first one is the apple slaw. Recipe down below, and if you would want to just follow along, or if you just want me to walk you through the process, either way is just fine. It consists of Granny Smith apples. I like Granny Smith apples because they're tart. I don't want the apple slaw to be sweet, so what I want to do is give it's kind of a savory dish that you could use on top of things. You could put it on top of a salad if you want. You could use it on top of tacos, which we're going to do today if you want, in place of like regular coleslaw, potato salad, things of that nature. If you wanted something just a little bit healthier. So right here I had a little minced garlic. I'm going to chop up an onion. Always remember when you're chopping up an onion, take that first layer of unusable rough skin off. And we're just going to julienne everything. So I'm going to show you what that is. Julienne means 1/8 of an inch. Where's the 16th? 16th of an inch, sorry. And we want to cut it nice and thin, you know. Drop that in there. So it's an apple slaw, so we're going to use a little apple cider vinegar in this and lime juice. So the acids will help break down the apples, the peppers, the onions. So the vegetables will stay raw. And this can be held up in the refrigerator for a few days. So you can eat it at your own leisure. Or if you want to just top it off with things, knock yourself out. I like using apples, especially at the beginning of the year. I tend to try to eat a lot more fruit. Apples help alkalize the body. So what I want to do is make sure, because everybody goes through that phase in January where you're working out a lot and trying to get ready for the summer, trying to look good. All the commitments have been made, so why not just roll with it, you know? If you can make the commitment to trying to eat a little bit better, get a little more acclimated into your kitchen, first of all, that'll put me out of business, but that's a whole nother issue. But for yourself, if you want to do things for yourself, this is a nice, easy starter because it's something you can make up ahead of time because a lot of times people struggle with like the whole meal prep. This is something that's just basic. You could do this Sunday night while you're sitting there watching TV. Just chop these things up, have it, and just set it in the refrigerator. And then you have things that you can just grab and snack on. Because I know especially with me, the biggest thing is if you're home, the snacking part. Now just dice up the red pepper and the onions, the jalapenos. There's 2 ways you can go about this. If you're okay with the spice, leave the seeds in. If you don't want any spice, take the seeds out. I'm a spicy guy, so I do enjoy jalapenos. So I'm going to leave my seeds in. And we're just going to julienne these up to go along with the peppers and the onions. Now be careful with these because there are some jalapenos that are hotter than others. It all depends on how they've grown. I've even had some poblano peppers that get a little spicy. So biggest thing you want to do is just, you know, bite into your pepper, taste it, or cut into the seeds just to see how spicy it is. You can smell it, actually. If a jalapeno is really spicy, it'll like radiate some really strong fiery smells to you. But Granny Smith apples, I don't know why, but when I cook, I tend to use Granny Smith apples. I've been using it in my apple pie. Apple slaws. If I'm making a chutney, I always use Granny Smiths. Not for any particular reason, just because I like them because they're tart, especially if I'm going to be adding sugar to it. And I find that the Granny Smiths take acid a little bit better than some of the other ones. And it's just a personal preference. All right. Well, next is some cilantro we're going to chop up. Everything, stems and everything. I like the flavor of cilantro that goes with this, as opposed to basil. The leaves tend to turn black. So the cilantro in the slaw goes great with the apple cider vinegar and gives it this nice clean taste. and I'm using lime as one of the acids. So anytime I like using lime, I tend to throw a little cilantro in there with it. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. And now we're going to add a little celery salt, salt and pepper. A little apple cider vinegar. We're going to get in here and mix it up. So we've got onion, apple, red bell pepper, jalapeno, cilantro, garlic, celery salt, black pepper, salt, and apple cider vinegar. And we're going to finish it off with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Now remember, if you like it spicy, keep the seeds in. If you don't, take the seeds out. So now when you're done with this, you can label, date it, pop it in a refrigerator. You can eat it right now if you like. I like to let it set for a little bit before I go to town on it or use it for anything. But you can eat it right now if you want. So that is the apple slaw, people. And coming up next, cauliflower. I'm going to show you how to make kind of like a cauliflower masa for the tortilla shells. All right, so right here, we've got the cauliflower all blanched off, 2 heads, chopped them up, boiled them down. You don't want them to be too mushy, but what you want them to do is be slightly firm, but very soft. So almost if you were going to do like cauliflower mash with it. So that's what I have here. Next thing I'm going to do is drain it, but I want to drain it completely. It's got to be completely void of water. What's going to happen is you'll kind of, your cauliflower paste will burn before it actually cooks, and it just won't, you'll have your ratios off because it's important to get the paste right so this way the tortillas actually hold up when you fold them. So if you wanted to, this is the part, when you're mixing the cauliflower with the egg and everything, that's the part where you want to season it. So I'm just going to do salt and pepper in these, but if you wanted to, you could add fresh basil to it, tarragon to it, fennel seeds to it if you wanted to. Just anything you could add to it just to add just a little bit of flavor. If you want to mix in a little sliced jalapeno, if you want to go really spicy. Just different things you can add to the actual mix to give you a different flavor inside your cauliflower tortilla shells. All right, so after we drained all the water out of the cauliflower, what I have here now is I've got a towel, a real thin towel. You guys can use cheesecloth or whatever you want, or we're going to actually squeeze any excess water that's in the cauliflower out, so this way I have a completely dry product. So I've got my cauliflower here. Pick it up and see how much water comes out of it? Yeah, you want to get all that out of it. So this way it gives you a pliable product to work with. Who knew cauliflower had held that much water, you know? Now, you can let the cauliflower cool before you do this. So this way you don't burn yourself. And it's easier to get the water. All right, so after we drained all the liquid out of our cauliflower, we got this nice mash right here. So I'm going to season it. Got a little kosher salt, a little cracked black pepper. I'm going to drop 1 egg. Just want to mix it up. So this is the part where you would add anything to it that you wanted to. Any fresh herbs you wanted to add to it, even a little Parmesan if you wanted to. So now to my left, your right, I've got a nice greased sheet tray. That's what we're going to form the tortillas on before we pop them in the oven. I've already got my oven preheated to about 400 degrees. Just want to make sure it's all incorporated nicely. You see that? Then, yourself a nice little ball here. And I kind of like to use the back of a spoon. Just kind of flatten everybody out, you know? You don't want them to be too thick because, I mean, you won't bite into a big old thick tortilla. You want to be able to taste the cauliflower in there, but you also want them to be thick enough to that they're pliable and they can hold whatever product you're putting in it. In our case, we're using shrimp, a little marinated shrimp, so you just want to make sure that the tortilla can hold what you're putting in it. So you don't want to make them too thin because there's no leavening agent in here other than the egg. And all the egg is going to do is just bind everything together. Nice. All right, oven's preheated to 400 degrees. So we're going to pop these in for a few minutes. All right, so we're going to make shrimp tacos with the cauliflower tortillas and the apple slaw. So right here, I've got a little marinated shrimp. So I've got a little extra virgin olive oil, fresh garlic, salt, black pepper, and I use a little mesquite barbecue seasoning just to give the shrimp just a little bit of extra flavor. But we got so much flavor coming out of the apple slaw. I don't want to do anything to curb any of that, but I think the barbecue flavor in the shrimp, that'll go really good with the apple slaw. So let's get these sauteed up while the tortillas are being cooked. All right, so now tortillas are ready, slaw is ready, shrimp look fantastic, and they smell incredible. So we're going to start building our dinner here. I like to go 3 shrimp to a tortilla. I don't think that's too much. And then you grab a little bit of the slaw. Look at this. Oh, that's sexy. Yes. Beautiful. And now, that's a good way to start the year off. To recap, apple slaw. Remember, if you don't want it too spicy, take the seeds out. Shrimp, marinated, whatever you want. I like to keep it simple because I like to contrast the flavors, but barbecue seasoning, whether it be mesquite or a little hickory, that goes fantastic with the apple slaw. And the cauliflower tortilla shell, a great alternative to the regular corn tortillas, especially if you have a corn intolerance or anything like that. They're not difficult to make. The hardest part is squeezing the water out of the cauliflower, but once you bang that out, you're good to go. And these can be made up in advance. You see how adorable they are. Very simple, very easy, but this is a great way to start off the year. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to contact me, darkhorsepastries@gmail.com.